thank you again for coming out tonight. We're here for again, the Plainville portion of the Beeline Trail. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jim Kolpa. I'm a civil engineer working for VHB. DOT hires me to be an extension of their staff, and I'm the overall program manager for projects that are pedestrian in nature. So we have multi-use trails across the state, sidewalk projects across the state, and we help towns and municipalities get through the process for those types of projects. I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming out tonight. This is an excellent turnout. I know your personal time is important, and without citizen participation like this, these projects wouldn't be a success. So we really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming out here tonight. We're going to try our best to answer your questions. The format's going to be formal presentation. We did a little workshop with you guys to try and answer your questions ahead of time. If you're shy and don't want to speak during the meeting, because we'll have some public comment, we do have an opportunity for us to, submit an email or call DOT with a number that we're going to put up on the screen. So we'll have that. And then also, please, if you want, approach me after the meeting or one of the design people that you've been talking to. We can take your question in and try and answer as best we can. Or if you have a concern or addition to the project, we'll try and accommodate that as best as possible. And with that, I'll try to be brief tonight. We'll try to be entertaining, although it's a technical presentation and we're engineers, but Ken's probably more entertaining than I. So with that, giving a little history on the project. We've been at this close to 10 years now. Started with a gap closure study that was funded by CROG. We do have two representatives, Jacob and Michael, here tonight from CROG for that. So again, CROG initiated a study, the town participated in it, and Alignment E was born out of that study, and that's what we're working to develop design plans for tonight and eventually construct. Subsequent to the study, CROG again prepared and won a federal raise grant in 2022. So that funds projects in Plainville and New Britain. So we were able to get $16 million federal funds in addition to what we normally get. So this is a really good benefit to us. We're matching that with about $19 million of state funds, and there's no cost of this project to the towns. There's no Plainville cash being put into this. We are separate from the Canal Heritage Trail projects. Those are being designed under a separate effort. Steve Hall is here tonight, so he's from DOT as well, and he's working on bringing those projects to the finish line and bringing those to a point where we can bid those. Focus tonight really is gathering input for the east-west connection. And then also, you may notice from the study focused on a multi-use trail only. Here, DOT in 2023 passed or enacted a complete streets policy or directive. So it says, any new DOT project that is undertaken has to include complete streets for pedestrians and bicycles. So we added sidewalk to this project as well. So you may notice that difference, but there'll be sidewalk in areas to help people on the south side of the road opposite from the trail. With that, preliminary design was developed by rail companies, and then we'll have a presentation followed by questions. I wanted to thank the town councilors for being here tonight. Without your support and help with this project, we would not be complete. So thank you very much for your help. We do have a sign-in sheet. If you haven't signed it, Mark from my office is holding it up over there. He can walk that around to you. For asking questions, he's also going to be bringing around the microphone too. And with that, I'd like to introduce Devin Rasico from DOT. I work for him. Any of your questions will be going to him, so it's in a central location. And then Ken Razwan from Dale Companies is our designer, and he's going to be walking us through the detailed aspects of every part of the project tonight and be able to answer your questions. So with that, Ken?
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, still like half of my slides here, but we're gonna roll through some of this information. So before we get started, I just wanna go over a couple housekeeping things, and then we'll kind of get into our presentation because that's what we're here for. So Title VI, just going over your civil rights. If you want to use your phones, you can scan that QR code. You can look at these links here for the website addresses. This is all posted on the town's website. So if you need any of this information, go on the town's website. It'll all be accessible there. And the second slide is similar information about the Title VI notice to the public. So anything that you want to just kind of tap into, you can find on the town's website. As Jim already alluded to, any questions that you have, save to the end. Write them down, put them in your phone. Come find us. We're all here to answer your questions. That's what this is for. It's for you folks to ask your questions so you can get familiar with the project. Okay? So don't be shy to ask any questions. This is the project team. So myself here is project manager for this particular project. We're the design of record. I have Chris Mastriano, who I always say is way smarter than me. He does the design for the actual project here. And then we wouldn't be here without all these folks from the DOT, for Michael Chirpak, Devin Racico, Jim Kolba, Mark Jewell, potentially a little celebrity around these parts and trails, and Jack Carlson. So look for us, ask us questions at the end, okay? Sound good? All right, off we go. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with the project. Largely the project's gonna be along Route 536, High State Route number, White Oak Ave and Woodford Ave. Any images I show you on the screen, north is always gonna be up, okay? So if you're trying to get your bearings of where you are, north is up, similar to the image in the background, okay? So we're starting very close to where we are actually right now on East Main Street. The limits are going to be right at East Main and Neal Court, so kind of where the Sicko gas station is. That's where this project is going to begin. There are other projects that I'll touch upon in a second that will tie into this. And then we're going to start heading eastbound. We're going to go on Pine Street to Woodford Ave in front of the GE, all the way under to, just going under the underpass of I-84. Just blinded myself with this thing. White Oak in front of Tilcon, and then we're going to get to the town line with City New Britain. So that's kind of the general area of the project location. So a little bit about the project. Again, I'm sure many folks know already. It's a linear trail, but there is also the addition of some concrete sidewalks. So the linear trail is largely on the northern side of Woodford and White Oak predominantly. The southern side is going to have some new concrete sidewalks to tie into sidewalks that may already be there so that we can create a holistic corridor. Kind of comes from the Complete Streets policy. We want to make sure that users or generators for this trail have access on both sides of the road, can get to the trail or other sides where it may be necessary. So this is going to be kind of taking you eventually from the Farming Canal Heritage Trail in Southington, and it's going to bring you all the way to the fast track station in New Britain, in areas north and south ultimately, but there are other phases that are already being designed and constructed. They're going to lock into this. So this is a map kind of showing a few of the trails that are going on that I've already alluded to. So where we are right here, right in the middle, is we call it P4 because that sounds way cooler, I think. And we use a lot of acronyms. So if I have an acronym, please feel free to ask, because in engineering we love our acronyms, just like probably every industry. So we're talking about this maroon line. That's what it's going for, at least on this screen. Our orange line is New Britain Phase 3, Beeline Phase 3. Phase 2 and Phase 1 will eventually get you to the fast track station. So you're going to cross Corbin Avenue and you're going to head towards West Main and New Britain, kind of where City Hall is, and then behind there is where the fast track station is. And then we have Phase 2 to the north here of our current project, and then Phase 1 is to the south where Norton Park is and takes you to the Farming Canal Heritage Trail in Southington, which there are some other pieces that have just recently been constructed and some new pieces that will be designed shortly. Everybody with me so far? A lot of head nods? All right, good. Good. So existing additions, just a couple images. I'm sure if you've ever been through the corridor, you already kind of know what it looks like. But the big thing, the big overarching thing is there's not really good pedestrian accommodations to the corridor. You're sending your kids out here, where do we walk? They're on the side of the road. You can see a lot of the worn paths through here because people are walking there. We want to accommodate them and make it as safe as possible. So again, just some different kind of critical areas we have in front of GE. You have a couple crosswalks. Obviously those aren't really necessary anymore. You got a very large parking lot. You got the existing underpass for 84, which where the trail is going to be going, and I'll kind of show you what that alignment's going to look like. Just different spots along the corridor that we're going to try to get through safely. So the purpose of the project is always critical. So the purpose here is enhancing our pedestrian safety. Public safety is always the biggest thing anytime we do any kind of projects. I don't care if it's roads, highways, bridges, sidewalks, trails, etc. So always public safety. We want to provide good pedestrian access throughout the corridor, be it a sidewalk or a multi-use trail in this case. And then this is going to be separated multi-use trail, meaning it's going to be separated from the road. Typically, separated and elevated is the most safe trail that you can have in all the different types of trails. So you'll have your road, you're going to have some kind of a snow shelf between, or a tree belt commonly referred to, and then the trail where we can, so that we can keep that separate. Again, we're thinking about kids here, not necessarily experienced users like maybe ourselves on a trail, but you send your kid out, you want to be as safe as you can get them, right? So that's what we're trying to accommodate here. So the project goals kind of ties into the purpose and need. We want to enhance that multimodal safety, that connectivity. So if you're biking, you're hiking, you're riding, skateboarding, whatever, you'll be able to use this trail because it will be a paved trail. And the sidewalk obviously is to be concrete. And then again, provide that connectivity to surrounding areas and other places along the corridor. I have to go back. There we go. So with that, I'm going to do my best to try to pan around that very image in the back right here. I can't really, I don't think I need this. Let's do this. Making it. Ooh, God. I'll fix that. One second. There we go. All right, so we're just going to kind of go through this corridor. I'm not going to describe all the impacts and everything everywhere. I'm going to do my best to zoom into the areas. Just let my computer load here for a second. So we're going to start at the very western side of the project here on East Main Street. So again, this is the Citgo gas station that's right here. Just to kind of get yourself acquainted where we are. And we're like literally right down here, not very far away here in the library, okay? So through this area, we're going to be providing about a 10-foot wide multi-use trail, so it's paved. Just like this asphalt in the street, it'll be the same type of material. So there'll be a little snow shelf between the trail and the roadway. It'll be, again, elevated and separated through this corridor. And that's going to be on the western side of the road. And it's going to take us all the way to the intersection of Pine Street. This area will also kind of be investigated for some complete streets. So which means we'll be looking at lighting, we'll be looking at potentially adding some other elements here, such as upgrading some of the sidewalks or other features of the corridor. So it's going to try to use the aesthetic from the downtown and keep it consistent with what's going on. There's brick pavers, things like that, okay? When we get to the intersection, every intersection, maybe this is a fun fact, 109, we label every intersection by the town number. So there's 169 municipalities in the state of Connecticut. So 109, Plainville, P, that's 109th municipality, and then this is the 205th intersection for this particular town, or just the number 205. So if you look at any of the traffic signal counts, you see that number. I don't know. My kids wouldn't find that interesting either, don't worry about it. So this particular intersection is going to be some pedestrian signal improvements, basically meaning that we are not changing what the alignment's going to be on the intersection for vehicles. All we're going to be doing is upgrading for pedestrian activity. So now that we're going to be introducing sidewalks and a multi-use trail, we need to make sure that you can push a button, you can shut down the intersection, and then people can safely travel and navigate through. You'll see at Nani's Bakery, which we'll touch on later, well, we'll just talk about it now. We're going to be adding some sidewalk around the bakery that's here now on state right-of-way, so there wouldn't be any impact there. We just might be looking at how we can accommodate the parking that's already kind of bleeding into the state right-of-way and onto Pine Street. So this is just one permutation of what that may look like. The sidewalks on the southern side are going to tie into the next intersection. We have these numbers throughout here. It's just kind of a reference number. So if anybody has any questions, that might be helpful later on. So that'll be Elm Court. And what we're going to try to do here is kind of tee the intersection up a little bit better. Right now it's that proverbial fork in the road, and we want to have it look like a capital T. Safer for users. You don't have to look over your shoulder as far. You have better sight lines so that you can see oncoming traffic. So this is a lot safer than what it would be now. The multi-use trail, again, continuing through the northern side of the corridor, and brings you kind of, this is Dunkin' Donuts right through here, is that right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. Asking myself here, I should have got some. So there'll be some, through this particular corridor, I mean, the largest of the impacts is just really reconstructing some of the driveways. This work right now is slated to be within the state right-of-way, so there's not going to be any significant grade changes. It's going to be using what's there now. And there, as we get closer to the intersection of East Street, Route 10, it's going to be kind of the same idea. We're going to have just some signal upgrades so that we have the proper push buttons, the upgraded push buttons. They call them APS, Accessible Pedestrian Signals, hence acronym APS. They're the latest push buttons so that they have countdown timers, and they have these little noise that beeps so that you can actually hear if you can't figure out where they are. So those types of elements and appurtenances will be upgraded for these intersections. This is where the sidewalk is going to start along Woodford Avenue, and it's going to head basically all the way down to the interchange with 84. So as I keep going, you'll keep seeing this sidewalk occur. So that's on the southern side, and that's relatively new to the project, as Jim alluded to before. That wasn't part of the study originally. So the multi-use trail is going to go right in front of GE. One thing I want to point out, as I head a little bit further to the east, is that this existing intersection in front of GE, we're calling for removal. At this point in time, there's really no reason to have it. We don't know of any tenants going in the buildings. That potentially could change, but as far as we're concerned right here, right now, we don't need that any longer. So the crosswalks would essentially be eliminated, and there wouldn't be any equipment there for the signal. That could change over time, but that's kind of where we're looking right now. You'll see a lot of the side streets will essentially just get the proper treatment. If I just zoom in a little bit, there'll be handicap sidewalk ramps across the intersection as you traditionally would see, and a crosswalk as well, painted markings so that folks can safely cross. All the side streets are stop control with stop signs. They're not signalized unless we call it out in the plan. So that's how folks would traverse across. On the northern side here, you can see just a crossing at this particular station. I don't recall what, it's where the old GE was, but that's a bad example, I suppose. But so as we get down to Linden Street, it's the same kind of treatments. We're just taking the multi-use trail all the way down. One thing I want to note, and it's very difficult to see, is there's going to be a lot of utility pole relocations in order to accommodate the bituminous multi-use trail on the northern side. So we'll be working with utility coordination, Eversource, Frontier, whoever the custodian is for the poles, to relocate those poles for the project, which is going to be a little bit of an undertaking to get all that coordinated and sorted before we get into construction. Same kind of treatment. We're also going to be looking at existing parking where, like, there's some areas where there's parking for some of the business owners. Right now, the state right-of-way may be used in order for folks to access that, so we're going to be looking at how we can make sure we can accommodate everybody as we go through the design. I'm going to keep kind of going because this is very similar throughout this particular area. Nothing really changes all that much. The corridor remains kind of the same. There's going to be no disturbances to the existing culvert crossing here or anything coming from Hamlin Pond. There's a culvert that goes underneath Woodford Avenue, but that won't be disturbed in any way. I'm trying to remember exactly where it is, but if you're driving through the area, it gets fairly wide at top of the culvert, so there was really no reason to do any upgrades or anything of that nature. And then as we get down closer to the I-84 interchange, we do have a couple crossings. In this particular case, Maryline and the off-ramp, we have a crossing, let me just zoom in right here that we're proposing, because there's going to be there is a signalized intersection, and we want to be able to have users traverse across. So if you're coming from the neighborhoods where there's probably a large generator of folks that want to get onto the trail, this would be a way for them to access it by pushing a button and getting over to the trail on the northern side. And you can see that we're just using the existing islands that are in front of Dewey Avenue for the sidewalk on the southern side. So no real significant changes there either. I know I'm going quick, it's just there's a lot to take in here, so we're just trying to get through it and then we get to the questions and the answers. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. So as the trail on the southern side, the sidewalk ends, the trail on the northern side continues, and we're going to go underneath the I-84 overpass. And we're actually going to go to the northern side of the concrete piers that exist today. So you're going to be even further separated from the roadway as you go underneath here. There's some laydown areas, as you can see, as we call them for construction, we'll potentially use for the project, where the contractor could put his equipment and store some of his materials as necessary. We're going to be looking into different areas. There's equipment there now for separate construction projects. And then as we kind of get to Ledge Road, and we start again heading east, that's where the sidewalk yet again picks up. And I was just talking to a gentleman about this particular area. Let that go. So from here all the way down to Miles, we're going to essentially be doing what's called a road diet. So we're going to actually shrink the lanes. Right now, if you've driven through this particular corridor, or you get closer to Tilcon, they're extremely wide lanes. Traditionally, we have about 12-foot lanes. So these are 15 to 18 feet wide. All that's really doing is asking for people to go faster, because driving is perception. If you feel safe, You're gonna go in a straight road, you're gonna go very quick. If it's narrow, there's a lot of trees like an old country road, you're gonna slow down. That's just human behavior. So we wanna try to slow folks down now knowing we're gonna be putting pedestrians and multi-use activities along the corridor. In order to negate the slope, the existing slope that kind of is through this area, which the grades get higher as you get closer to the houses, we wanted to bring the road in so that when what we call chasing the grade, we don't have to go nearly as close to the homes, so we keep everything contained within the state right of way, really to try to limit the impacts, if that makes sense. As we get to Crooked Street, we know that Crooked Street's very busy. Right now, you have double right turn lanes that take you from Crooked, which is necessary. So we've looked into this with our traffic engineers, and they determined that we could remove one of the right-hand turn lanes. So it's a single right-hand turn lane. Why that's important is because as the trail user, as you cross through this area, it's extremely wide. What we're going to have through here, again, are push buttons so that the intersection will shut down, it'll turn red, and there's going to be this refuge island. So essentially, you're going to cross, you're going to get to this raised median, which exists today. If you don't have enough time to make it across, you have this area here that's going to be raised and separated that you can stay and wait till the signal then turns red again so you can finish your crossing. Now, if you're on a bike, maybe you can do it in one swoop and that's fine. What's also important about removing one of the lanes is it shortens the distance. So ultimately, it's twofold. A shorter distance is going to be a safer crossing. It's also going to be less time that the signal is shut down for someone that's in their car, right? How many times you see someone push a button, they walk immediately, and then the signal is shut down, you get impatient. Maybe that's just me, but it does happen, right? So again, I'm going to jump to the southern side real quick. The sidewalk on the southern side is going to kick miles to ledge. We're trying to think of, well, where's the generation of folks going to be coming from? Knowing that there's a lot of homes and neighborhoods in those areas on the southern side of our map here, we want to make sure those users have a way to access the trail. So with that being said, we're going to be introducing a crosswalk, so folks coming from either side, from east or west, will be able to push the button, get to the trail, and they can head east to New Britain, or they can head west to downtown here in Plainville. So either way, we want to be cognizant of making sure we can get folks to and from the trail safely. As we head in front of the Woodford Common Apartments here, condominiums, we're going to be putting a little retaining wall so that we can keep the trail up again, basically in the similar elevation as the existing roadway. The grade eventually levels off as we get to these open grass areas. I don't know exactly, they're not like a town green or anything like that, but I know everyone kind of understands where we're going. So one thing that we were looking to do is provide parking for the trail. It's always important. Want people to be able to park and get on the trail, not just have to say, well, where do I park? How do I get there? So we're going to be providing about a 15 spot parking lot for folks to enjoy the trail access. A couple neat pieces. Have you ever been to like the Cape Cod trails? Really a lot of trails. They have these little stations that you can go to. They have bike pumps. They have things like little tools and things. So we're going to be putting some of those amenities. That's the idea, at least right now. So if you park your bike, you have a flat tire, which seems to happen to my son every time like clockwork. I digress. We'll have something there. So maybe that's selfishly for me. But that's kind of the idea. We want to try to make it accessible for everybody and have a place to park. That also being said, we recognize as we get closer to Tilcon's property that there's a food truck that's right in this area here, and we understand that folks might want to park and access that food truck, and during the day or for lunch or what have you. So we might be working with that a little bit more, but for right now, this is kind of what the plan is going to show. So we've had a couple coordination meetings already with Tilcon. I've spoken with Tilcon here has been being representative, and we're trying to make sure that we can come to a good resolution for the trail. So those conversations have started, and right now, this is where the trail alignment is preferred. We're trying to stay away from the roadway here through Tilcon. Anybody's driven through there, even just driving there, it's very dusty, it's certainly not safe, your sight lines are very off. So we want to make sure that we keep trail users as far away as we can. So what that does is put us up against the Route 72 84 retaining wall, basically as far touching it as we can, and that's kind of where the trail is going to be going, if you will, behind to the north of Tilcon, just to the south of that retaining wall through this area. We're having topics on what this is going to look like, what security measures might look like, if there's going to be lighting. There's a lot of elements that we need to look into in this particular spot because of what Tilcon does for a business. We want to make sure users are safe. There are other areas along trails like in Farmingdale Heritage Trail, East Coast Greenway that we'll be looking to for different elements, things that we can do to keep the area safe for everybody to use. And as we get back around Tilcon's property to the east, we're going to be heading to the east of the town line with New Britain, who has their Phase 3 project that's going to tie right on into our Phase 4 project. So that kind of brings us to the end of the project. So I'm going to take a break just for a second. There's a lot of talk. And we're going to get back to the presentation. And again, if anybody has any questions, we can pull this back up and come back to it.
Question.
1 second. Let me finish just so that we can not have a precedent of a million questions just yet, but I will absolutely get to your question. All right? All right, so we're just going to get through a few more slides, so just bear with me. Check on time. Doing okay. All right, so as I alluded to before, throughout the corridor, there's going to be a lot of different constraints, be it utility impacts above ground. You know, there's overhead utilities. There's going to be a lot of poles that are going to be needing some relocation. So we're going to be working to the next phase with utility owners so we can get those poles coordinated and moved, make sure that we can accommodate the trail. So if there's drainage structures, there's manholes, there's sanitary, water, sewer, gas, those are all different things that will be coordinated. So there's a lot to it, and that's the next phase, as I said, of what we have to start working towards.
And that would be me.
I don't have to talk.
Yeah. Give me a break. All right. Thanks again. You got it. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jack Carlson. I'm an assistant project coordinator with the Department's Rights of Way division. Our office is responsible for the acquisition of any property rights needed for transportation projects. So in a moment, I'm going to provide a brief overview of our acquisition process, but there's a few things I'd like for you to note. First, any of the property impacts shown tonight are subject to change. They're still being finalized. Second, any acquisitions are done in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 13A73 as well as 13A98E and the Federal Uniform Act. And third, if we don't expect you necessarily to remember everything, so our office will be there with you the entire step of the way if you're an impacted property owner to potentially re-explain or go over this information. So our process begins once the project has reached a specific development milestone and all the property impacts have been determined. Our office will generate and mail out a formal letter of an intent to acquire along with a property map that details the specific property impacts to each affected property owner. From there, we establish a fair market value, and we use that fair market valuation as a basis for our offer of just compensation. We will then provide that offer to the property owners in writing, and a right-of-way agent will make themselves available to each affected property owner to meet with them, to discuss the project, explain any potential impacts to their property, as well as review the offer that we sent. At that point, the property owner is afforded a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the department's offer and enter into negotiations. Whether the initial offer is accepted or a settlement is reached through negotiations, in that case, the department will prepare any necessary deeds, conveyance documents, obtain any releases, as well as record that information on the town land records along with the property map. If an agreement is unable to be reached, an impasse is reached, in order to maintain a timely project schedule, the department will acquire any necessary property rights through its power of eminent. In that case, the state will file a notice of condemnation with the Superior Court and will deposit the initial offer made to the property owners with the court. Once the notice of condemnation has been filed in land records, you have the property owners have 6 months to file a formal appeal with the Superior Court if they felt that the department's offer was inadequate. I would like to note that the money deposited is available to be withdrawn or initiate the proceedings to be withdrawn by the property owner during that entire process. Additionally, I would like to state that any questions you might have, I'm happy to answer at the end of the presentation during the Q&A section, and that would be it. So thank you very much. I'll hand it back to Kevin.
All right. All right, we're almost there. Then we'll get the Q&A. All right, so we kind of already alluded to some of these slides, so we'll kind of just talk through them. So the potential rights of way, as Jack was just talking about, certainly coordinate with his office. For our project right now, most of it is going to be just rights to grade and construct driveways. That's essentially what most of this corridor is going to be looking like. The grade is very similar of what we're proposing and what's existing. So we're trying to limit as many impacts as we can. And there's just a few pictures here. So some of the areas that we wanted to highlight that we kind of already gotten through, there's a sliver of land here at the, let's see, the north, I guess this is the northeast corner of East Main and Pine Street. We kind of just highlighted what we're looking for as far as this yellow, very faint yellow here area that would be required. The town already owns it, but because it's a state project, we have to go through the process of with Jack in order to obtain the land as necessary. This is just showing the area that I was talking about before where the sidewalk was wrapping around the intersection. This is actually the southwest corner of the East Main Pine Street. Of the bakery that's here now, and because of the sidewalk going in, it was going to close a portion of the driveway, so we just have to work with the property owner to come to a resolution of what that might look like. That's not showing that we're taking over property. I want to be very clear about that. It's just what we might have to do to make sure that they have parking. Woodford Avenue and East Street, which is Route 10, GE is right here, just to kind of orient yourself. There's some sightline issues, meaning that when you get to approach the intersection, there's some trees and brush on either side that we want to clear to make sure that when you get to the intersection, you can not only see across the way in your vehicle, but now that there's a trail here, that they can see the trail users as well, because that's just as important to know that somebody might have pushed the button or kids are going to try to cross the street, which is always scary. Then moving further east along the corridor, Crooked and White Oak Avenue, in front of Woodford condominiums, there's a potential sliver through here in order for us to accommodate the trail that we'll have to be looking into in order to construct this trail right through the area. So it's again this yellowish, faint yellow color. Didn't really show up all that well on this. And then lastly, as we were talking about with Tilcon, we've been coordinating with Tilcon already for a piece of their land between the existing abutments retaining wall of 72 and the northern side of their property. Again, it's a larger sliver. That's probably the largest impact we have in order to accommodate the trail. So we'll be coordinating with them. Again, we've already had conversations so that we can hopefully develop a resolution together. I already zoomed in on this particular area. I'll just highlight that the trail parking, again, we were talking about Tilcon's over here, and then there was a food truck over, just kind of right over here. We want to make sure that we accommodate trail users and they have a place to park so they can actually get on the trail safely, not just park at someone's house or on the side of the street. That's generally the idea. And then just a few more pieces for environmental historical impacts. We're going to be working through more of the environmental impacts and screening has already been completed for the project. Right now, we're showing no floodway impacts. There's no negative impacts to any natural diversity database, meaning call it NDDB, yet another acronym, any potentially endangered species to the area. If we did come upon anything, then we would have a process that we'd have to follow. Section F will be required for the project, which is more about the State Historic Preservation Office, but no adverse effects to historical properties. And then we're almost done. So the project financials and the schedule. So we're looking to complete the design in the fall of 2026. So that's basically a year from now is when we're looking to get this completed for design. And then we're going to be looking to go out in construction in April 27th. So that's about a year and a half away from where we sit today. But the funding source is one thing I want to highlight. Jim, wherever. Jim already alluded to it. So it's a federal raise grant, which is important to know where the money comes from. In this particular case, the design is 100% funded by the federal government and 0% comes from the town. So the town isn't paying anything for any of this. So that's a pretty good deal in my book. If I can get 0%, I'd say I would take that too. Construction will be 100% state funds. So the state's stepping up in a pretty big way here in order to fund this trail project and other trail projects that were highlighted before we started this presentation. So folks are pretty excited about that. As we said at the very beginning of the presentation, if you have any questions that you can't get answered today or you can think of later on, there will be folks that you can contact. Be Devin Raceco. This is his contact information. Yes, take a picture with your phone like that. And again, this is on the town website, so if you don't, you can always go there and get that information. Or you can go to the project webpage, which we have for this project. I think that's about it here. And then we just have we're actually at the questions. Someone's gonna have a question now.
I do.
There we go. You guys are quiet.
Where does it actually start, the trail? I was confused. Where's the start in Plainville? Where it ends in Plainville?
All right, let me pull up that
I was
map
confused
again,
by
all
that.
right?
You said
Feel like-
Sunoco, I wasn't following.
No, not Sunoco. Cinco.
Sitco, is that where it's not the center of town?
No. I mean, it's not exact center of town. I don't know, let me see how close I can get you.
I thought it was going to connect to the other trail eventually.
No.
Yeah.
Phase 3, I'm not so versed in the subsequent phase, but I believe the other phase is on the opposing side of town hall. That'd be like the southern side of town hall.
Yeah, so I could just clarify. My name's Mark Jewell. Good to see a lot of you again. The starting point that Ken described at the Citgo is starting there because that is where the town's streetscape project stopped. So if you know the wide sidewalk, the brick pavers, the decorative lighting, all those details stop at the Citgo station. We're going to pick up from there. The way you would get a trail user would make the through trip would be pedestrians would use the existing sidewalk and bicyclists would be in the roadway with following the sharrows to get you past town hall, across the railroad tracks to the fire department. That makes the connection through.
That is if the sharrows get painted again.
Yes, that's a good point. They
Yeah.
were
Oh, that's
on
a
and then they
wonderful
got left out, and yeah, so that's a.
Oh, a big one.
Yes.
Did you just say there's no plan to connect to the other trail?
No.
Seriously? Is that why were you in the deal court when?
No, that's what I was just trying to explain, that the connection is already there, barring the missing sharrows. The pedestrian connection is on the existing sidewalk, the bicycle connection would be on road with the sharrows that were there and need to get back there.
So you definitely plan on running the bike trail all the way to West Main Street? Connecting to the Harris Trail?
Not as part of this project. That's the.
Are you working with the people that are doing the other project?
Yes, and that's, Mr. Hall is here to represent that project. But tonight's meeting is just about this project. But yes, the connection will be made.
Yes.
I live down on the north side of Woodford Avenue by the ponds there,
Okay.
by Hamlin.
Yep.
My yard is not that deep. How much of my yard are you talking about taking?
All right, let's take a peek. What is your address?
355 Woodford Avenue.
I'm 357, that's my neighbor, so I was just gonna ask the same
Okay.
question.
Okay. All right.
We're right next to Jim's Deli.
So 357, right here.
Yep,
That look about right.
and he's the house right next door.
353.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see
Yeah.
this image?
Yeah.
So 357, the green is essentially how far the limits would be for impacts, which is all contained within the state right-of-way. And then the same is true for 353. Where there's going to be a little extension of the driveway that's there now, all within the state right-of-way. As far as like a distance, I don't have a distance on this, but you can kind of maybe visualize if you can see where the house is and where the trail is going to be.
So you say the state right away, so it's not going to come into my property at all.
Right, that's correct.
Does the state right away going to extend farther into the yard now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Does the state right away move?
No.
So
No.
that means the state has no right of way into my yard at all once this is built.
Right.
They've used it up.
Yeah. That was where Jack would come into play. If the state were to move this right-of-way line, they would have to talk to you and you'd have to go through the process that Jack explained on those two rights-of-way slides in order to acquire or use some of your property. But that's not the case here. Does that make
How wide
sense?
is this path going to be there?
This here is 12 feet.
And that's going to be all going into the road, basically.
not gonna go into the road. No, it's gonna be separated and elevated. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of.
Is the road on a dive fairway?
No.
Yes.
Through here? Oh, yes, through here, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's like, I think you can see.
But the existing curb right here, it's just hard to see from probably way back here.
Yeah.
I just don't have a distance. I mean, that's 12
Yeah.
feet, well, that's probably similar, 24.
So this is where your curb line is right now. And the new curb line is this thick black line. So it will be bumping in slightly in this area.
It's like 5 feet.
Yeah, about 5 to 7 feet, depending on where. The Woodford Ave, like everyone knows, is wide, and it's just one lane and people can fly. So the intent is to diet the entire road, pushing in from the south side, pushing in from the north side, to just 12-foot lanes, 4-foot shoulders, as opposed to, I think it's like 15 or 16-foot lane and like a 10-foot shoulder on either side. It's a lot of pavement. So like your lawn is within this area, but as Ken was saying, this line here, this thick line here, is where the state owns part of that lawn. So we're not anticipating impacting property at all in this location. It's all within state land.
Instead of one, you're gonna have a
Yes. Which one is Jim's done?
Right next door.
right on the other side.
Right here, right?
That's mine. At lunchtime?
The big trucks, yeah, that road.
So they park here, parking exactly where they are now.
And they come up in front of our houses. Like more of my house, they can park in front of his too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, so that's not really the purpose or the need of the I mean, I'm not gonna solve their parking issue with this project, right? It's also interesting if you look at the right-of-way line and you see the image behind it of that, this is actually state land here too. So, well, I don't know if that's true, but.
Do they park on the street, Ken?
What's that?
Is that what we're hearing, that they park on the street?
Yeah, they're saying they park everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They park right in front of the house.
So are you driving at the point that this trail here is impacting the parking that's here? Because it.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're never gonna be able to pull in below.
How are they gonna cut through?
So that's like, we're, right now, the design is showing a curb cut for them to get through, cross over the trail, but that's the interaction that we have to figure out how that's gonna work.
When you say a curb cut, that entire distance is no curb?
Like from our preliminary plan right now, you can see it right here. So essentially station 20, 257 to 230.
Essentially the same condition, except it might even be pushed down and more room between the building and the edge of road, but the width of the driveway is the same.
Yeah.
The width of the driveway / parking lot is basically the same.
You know, I don't know if Jack being the representative of the right-of-way division this is his arena. But
Good evening, the time is now 7:30 and the library will be closed in 30 minutes. Be advised if you're using a public computer, it will automatically shut down at 7:55. If you are here for the town meeting, you are able to stay in the auditorium until their meeting has ended. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is obviously an encroachment on state property. That's an issue that the state right-of-way division will take up with that property owner. But as Ken said, the presence of this project, as designed at this point in time, still provides for that access.
Yeah, our property management section will reach out to the property owner to work on establishing a lease for the use of that parking, because that is within the state right-of-way. So if any use of state right-of-way does require some form of agreement or potentially a release and purchase of that property by the property owner, but when we discover encroachments, we apply it to
Yes.
With the Tomaso, you said you were like working shop to go around their stuff there.
Oh, Tilcom. You say Tilcom?
It's still got.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then,
Right there, right there, there's a road that goes back behind the house there. Couldn't you go around through there and alleviate all of this?
So Dewey Place?
Yes.
Right. So we weren't part of the original study as to why the trail is going through this corridor. Mark, I don't know if you have anything to add of why you want to go through Dewey Place?
You're
Impact
actually
more
cut off,
residents?
where Hamlin Pond touches the highway and the railroad tunnel. If you were to go around there, there's
If you went right down Dewey Place there, you would just come right back out onto Woodford.
Yeah, it's just a U.
oh, the horseshoe.
Yeah, the horseshoe.
Yeah, that private property. Right, and that's a much narrower right of way than, and it's not state right of way. The state's trying to stay on their own property and impact is the least amount of people possible.
I was to say, Mark, I was just talking with Devin about the on-street parking, and then we can look into that further and see the utilization now and try and accommodate that in the design. So we'll look into it.
Great.
Yes.
What's the plan to control the dust if that right away through Tilcon goes through? There's a lot of dust there now.
Right.
With that pedestrian walkway and the trail, what's the plan to control that dust?
We don't have a plan in place for dust at this point.
It's going to be a big problem.
Yep. Yeah.
It's still kind of not set to the same right-of-ways and setbacks. They literally own up to the street and all the way to the fence.
I don't know. They don't own right up to the street.
So each parcel is going to have different boundaries. Each warranty deed that a property owner has is going to describe those boundaries, usually marked by a highway pin, but it can vary. So depending on your parcel, depending on that specific section of state right-of-way, there may be 2 feet of state right-of-way, there might be 20 feet of state right-of-way. So it really depends on what the boundaries of your parcel are.
Is that marked on the map for Tilcon? You see what the right-of-way is?
Yes.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah, it is. It is on this, and we can go to it. Also, that's a town road at that point. The road that goes through Tilcon's campus is a town road, not a state road.
They're going on the highway that is white out and stuff.
But yeah, you can see the property lines there.
Yeah, so these thick black lines with 3 dashes in between.
And those aerial images aren't necessarily exactly where they are in real space. They're, from the way that the camera is taking the picture, it could be parallaxed in some way. So there could be a couple feet either way of that line to that image. Everything within the survey is correct. So if you were to go up there and you see light gray lines, or back there and you see light gray lines delineating things like the parking lots and things like that, that's in the right spot. It just might not, and it might not wind up exactly in line with the aerial image in the background.
Who's going to be responsible for maintaining the trail? Whether that's like trash or just general maintenance?
The town, right?
Yes.
Is that true? There's sidewalks that are going in as well?
I believe so.
Yes, the town council passed a resolution about a year ago.
Nope. 2 years ago. Longer than a year ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
It wasn't us.
And so, yeah, there'll be a maintenance agreement that will have to be in place.
What does that mean, a maintenance agreement? It's nothing to the owner then. Is it going to be responsible for maintaining any part of these new sidewalks? Is that accurate?
That's a local ordinance. I'm not sure how Plainville does it in their town.
I didn't hear your question.
The new sidewalks that are going to be in front of a lot of these properties, who is going to be responsible for maintaining snow removal?
The property owner.
So typically, snow removal is the property owner's responsibility, while any type of infrastructure improvement, repair of the sidewalk, or replacement is on the town.
Does the trail fall on sidewalk?
Good question.
trails. Other trails don't.
Okay. What's that?
Well, I mean, other trails, you've got signs saying they don't maintain. Like the fast track, they have signs that they don't maintain it between, I think, October and March or something. That means they don't remove snow
So the
from the
town will
fast
not be
tracks.
required to clear snow from the bike trail.
So every owner that has a sidewalk now has an additional maintenance cost every year as a result of this project.
Every property owner that has the trail going in front of their house where it's elevated has additional snow clearance so they can actually sit out on the driveway.
I was just gonna say, that's my whole big driveway.
Right.
Thank you for the gift.
Southington does clear a portion of their field streets. That's Southington.
Yeah, in Connecticut, it's town by town on that issue. Some towns leave the snow for cross-country skiers or snowshoers or whatever, and others don't. It's really town by town.
Gentleman in the red, sorry. Sure, what is the construction schedule for the Beeline Trail from the Plainville New Britain line to Corbin Avenue? We've seen that they put in a Beeline Trail from Corbin all the way to west to the fast track.
That's not my project, so I don't know the answer to that.
I can answer it. That segment of trail, that's what we call phase 3, the one that borders this one. It should be off, the city of New Britain should be authorized to advertise that job in the coming month or two. And theoretically, if all goes correctly, it should be under construction April 1st of 26.
So I'm on the corner of Ledge and Woodford, the 24, and there's already a lot of issues with like line of sight and snow removal in that area, because you can see how far the cars have to go forward into the road just to turn.
Yep.
So are you taking that away so that when they're looking left, like, are you guys going to kind of adjust for that when you build further into the road there?
So if you're coming down Ledge, you're heading
It's already a
northbound.
huge grade, yeah.
Because this goes up.
And then, yeah,
So you're saying as I'm coming down here and you're looking left?
you're already in the road pretty much when cars are turning.
Oh, through here?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're not, as you can see, we're not actually doing any work on the western side of this intersection at all. We're just starting the sidewalk here on the eastern side to get you towards the intersection of Crooked.
Is that a concern that you're encroaching further up with cars coming from the left side?
Through here?
Yeah.
Let me just see how far we are. Certainly something we can take into consideration.
Because there's already almost a lot of accidents there in general.
Right. No, that's good for us to know. So there might be some treatments we could do on the approaching side to that intersection to make sure that folks don't get too close to the intersection as you're talking about when they come out.
Because especially with snow removal, that's where they pile on the snow.
That makes sense.
So.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes.
So right here where she's saying, is it the sidewalk extending over to the left there?
Here?
And going under the underpass?
No.
Not at all?
No.
That's where it
So they
starts
don't
entirely.
connect at all?
Correct. The multi-use trail will be your connection
Oh, okay.
on the northern side. The idea here is we're trying to limit the amount of crossings of the on-ramp. Ideally, we don't want to put kids on their bikes and walking as people are trying to accelerate onto 84. Trying to not do that best we can here, so that's why we're limiting it, which is why we want to put the trail on the north side, because people are decelerating as they come down the ramp, so your foot's on the brake.
But
So what's-
right hand there, not many.
So it's going to be, it would ideally be more ideal to have someone decelerating than accelerating.
That is true.
Right.
But your point is made though, making that right-hand turn,
Not many people stop.
we do it very quickly.
Yeah.
But the curb radius is being tightened up, so it's going to make that less likely. Over here, yeah.
There didn't seem to be any mention of trash receptacles or any porta potties or anything like that.
Generally speaking, like portal potties, generally that would be up to the town if they want to put some facilities, let's say at the trail and or the trail parking, excuse me. Yeah, because they would have to maintain it.
Maybe an obvious question, where are people supposed to put their trash cans now? On the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Like, I'm right around that corner, that was just being asked.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
So generally speaking, like as an example, you could put them on either side of your driveway apron. I mean, that's what I do for mine, because I don't have a sidewalk. And the very extents of your apron, that's what I do. Sunday nights, that's what it is. It's, yeah, I know, it's a little bit of an impact for 12 hours of your day until they pick it up and you gotta bring it back.
Not worried about that, just practically. The trash trucks can reach over the sidewalk?
No, I'm saying right here, right in the corner.
Oh.
Yeah, so they don't have to reach over the sidewalk, they just go in the corner.
On my steep driveway, they are already gonna curve on both sides.
I don't know.
Can't get in and out.
So your driveway is steep already before we've done anything. So if you and I go there now, it's already steep. So where do you put your trash cans now?
Put them on the big flat area, that's the process lot right in the front.
Yeah.
They get in and out easy.
Yeah. So
You
you
don't
can,
have a sidewalk there. I'll sort it out.
Yeah.
That's the least of the impacts of this project.
right, yeah.
But to go back to the comment about restroom facilities, Stephen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's one that called for at the parking lot at the exit 1 off-ramp of 72.
That's correct.
That trail project does have a restroom facility there. And we do try to consider that when we're thinking holistically statewide, you know, like where they, you know, we have them in Cheshire on Jarvis Street, at 2 places in Cheshire actually, and then up through when we do try to space them out. If there's an urban environment where, you know, people can visit businesses and have some economic development and use restrooms and stuff, we try to encourage that, of course. We have a lot of trying to get parking everywhere as well. Plainville is going to have a number of parking lots. You've got the existing one at Northwest Drive. You're going to have the one being constructed at the exit 1 off ramp of 72. You've got parking in general parking downtown. We have this little parking lot in this project, and then New Britain has a couple that they're constructing as well, and then CT Fast Trackers. So we're trying to space them out. Finding real estate for parking lots is a little bit more difficult. Oh, and then the Norton Park, of course, the big lot there that's being proposed will help alleviate the pressure on Norton Park.
Also behind me.
And of course, yeah, behind Pete's house.
Touche.
Everyone can park at Pete's drive.
I'm driving from that day too.
All right, next. Any other questions?
Since you're talking about snow here, I mean, if we had a significant snowfall, I mean, there's going to be parts of the trail that, who's going to be riding a bicycle, like in the Tilcon area? That basically shuts off most of your trail. And the only area that really actually would be maintained, where people are just walking, would be the place where people have homes, not the whole trail. Because I would see part of the trail being inactive for maybe 3 months during the snow period. I mean, who's going to ride a bicycle on a trail in the winter month?
I would.
Crazy people.
I mean, you have the Tilcon area, let's say you had 2-3 feet of snow. You're going to run crazy.
When's the last time it snowed 2 or 3 feet?
But the ones near the house, that's a different story. I don't really, it's more than a trail. It's someone's house,
The library will be closed in
it's
15
a public
minutes.
area where
If you have materials
would
to
be-
check out, please bring them to the circulation desk. Public computers will automatically shut down in 10 minutes at 7:55. If you are here for the town meeting, please feel free to stay until the meeting is completed. Thank you.
What I'm saying is, the areas where the houses are an active area all year round. But there's gonna be parts of the trail that are not really active. I can't, like the part where you were talking about, near the Tilcon Trail, Woodward Avenue going into New Britain.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a significant snowfall, those are areas I just can't picture people even riding on.
But that's the safe thing that happens at every trail.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have a question on that?
They're not maintained.
No, well, I'm really asking that question because of the questions people were asking about maintenance.
So you're
You know,
saying-
I mean, I'm trying to picture, you got the owner, property owner has a responsibility to clear the area out.
That's for the
You're also
sidewalk
talking
and
about an
not
area
the
where, what if you have
multi-trail.
ice and, you know, somebody's just walking? What liabilities are here for property owners?
That is a good point.
So the property owner's responsibility, according to the town of Plainville, is to clear the sidewalks and not the multi-use trail. Typically, DOT, we don't maintain the trails during snowstorms. So if there was some sort of an agreement with the town to maintain it during snow, that would have to come to fruition, but as typically we don't maintain during snow, so the snow would sit there unless someone were to clear it.
And the other issue is, you know, when you put salt on pavement and stuff, it has a deteriorating effect. And, you know, whose responsibility is it over time? You might have to do some maintenance on it because of the deterioration over time. I'm just asking the thing as a question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Relative to the sidewalks, anything happens on those sidewalks, snow removal or otherwise, whose liability is that now that they're running in front of theoretically our property but on state land? I don't know if that's maybe a lawyer question less than anything else, but are we taking on additional liability as owners to, with these things going in?
If somebody slips and falls or crashes their bike or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have an answer on
Yes,
who's
I
liable.
can answer that. I'm not a lawyer, but Mike Sherpack, Connecticut DOT. Sidewalk, this is a common thing that happens, right? When it comes to who's liable, so what DOT's role is we are helping towns build their sidewalk network out. And when we propose new sidewalk where it doesn't exist today, we enter into agreement with every municipality that we're building it in. We do thousands and thousands of feet a year. That agreement says that the municipality is responsible for the snow and ice removal liability for the sidewalk. The municipality then can choose to, and I don't know what Plainville's rules are, some municipalities do it differently. The municipality can choose to pass on some of the duties of snow and ice removal onto its neighboring abutting property owners. That's a municipal thing. It's not a state. What we've found is that sidewalks are incredibly important to creating a safe place for people to walk. Mobility. Mobility is a big thing for pedestrian mobility. It's a big thing for state DOT. So it's something that we're really encouraging towns to participate in. We see the benefit of it. We hope you do too. Obviously, that's why we're all here. We're here to listen to see how much benefit you all feel you have. We're here to explain, this is what we think is best from a state's perspective. We've been working with municipalities across Connecticut. A lot of them, most of them, are following our lead when it comes to this. And so exactly why we're here, right? To hear the concerns. So, and just kind of going back to what was said before about snow and ice removal on the trail, that is a specific detail that needs to be worked out between the town of Plainville and really itself, right? So we're not requiring them to remove snow on it. If you want to, go for it. If you don't, you don't have to. It's whatever the town wants, right? So there are certain instances where we've made commitments to the general public that a trail needs to be open year-round based off of funding. This is not one of them. So this is something that, like you said, behind Tilcon, you don't see anybody walking back there because it's 3 feet of snow. Nobody wants to remove it. Fine. But if the
What's more
town
concerned about the sidewalk side of things? Again, property owner, main
yeah.
road, new thing, new expense, new life. I am
And the
concerned
fact
about
that
the
they
additional
come with the
liability.
plows quite often, so you can have plowed, shoveled the whole thing, and then it gets filled with ice again, or whatever.
Yeah, that's another major concern on that
It's
main
always
road.
been a big problem. with
As a property owner that has a steep driveway and a steep lot that my tenants park in, it's difficult enough to keep that clean, such that cars aren't sliding in the road, such that there's not issues. That's an all-winter battle. This makes that significantly more difficult, and I'm worried that on top of that, now I've got to worry about constant maintenance on the sidewalks, lest I be liable for an injury that happens there. And the plows come by there fast, they're taking snow off of every main road. It's inevitably like everywhere else, but this is a main road, ending up on the driveways and the sidewalks.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, right? And that's an issue that's raised at almost every single meeting where we're proposing sidewalks. Our job is to say, listen, we think that the best place for somebody to walk is on a sidewalk separated from the road versus in the road or walking on the grass on the front yard that you maintain too, with a worn path. And so a lot of times, especially in this particular corridor, you see those worn paths, people are actually there. It's not just a figment of our imagination or making it up. Right? You can see the proof and footing. So that's why I propose. Look, the town doesn't want it. I'm okay with that too. Right? You guys are the ones that live there. So your comments are super important, and that's
Yeah, but the thing is that you're seeing it as part of the trail. It's not like the Farmington Trail, where it's in a remote area, in a forested area. Okay, the Timcon area, there's nothing there. The problem is it's part of the trail, but it's part of the city. It's not a total trail. It's part of the general city where people live. It's not, it's part of the trail, but it's got elements of it that don't make it the trail.
It's a little different. Let's do it over there. Right here up front. Yep.
I have a question regarding what looks like it might be a loss of a sidewalk in lieu of a trail. Could you look at our business property at 85? It's very close to the very beginning of the trail.
85
East Main.
East Main. Oh.
It's just past the gas station. It's like right at the beginning.
Just past that brownstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, we're 85. We're over just a little bit more.
That's where my map cuts off. I can't.
Oh no, you had it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, 70. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. So we're the big square building right
Oh,
there.
right here. Yeah.
So like we have sidewalk in front of us right now. Can you zoom in for me so I can see, like, are we using the sidewalk and it's turning into?
Yes.
Okay. Can you zoom out just a wee bit more so I can see the entrance of our parking lot there?
So right here.
Okay. Okay, we have two entrances. If you
Okay.
zoom down just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, all right. And can you see my property line? I can't see where the end of my property line is versus.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because it's right
Yeah,
here.
it's the hedge line.
This.
Just the curb of my parking lot?
Yes.
So like right now, we have landscaping right there, and we have a curb, and we have direct, parking lot right there. So is there going to be some sort of like boundary put up so that, people don't accidentally fall into my parking lot where all those cars are? I have a tree there. Do I lose the tree? Who answers those kinds of questions?
This tree right here?
Yeah.
So right now, so this white line here is kind of showing where your hedges are. So as far as putting up a barrier, that's certainly a discussion that we can have. It's good to know that that's something that's important to you.
So then regarding we have a sidewalk that's obviously getting maintained. So now if this becomes multi-use, so I'm just kind of the reverse question. You're getting a sidewalk, I'm losing a sidewalk in front of my property. So I was just kind of curious what that means. Is that a town thing also then, if it's multi-purpose? So you don't have to clean it anymore?
Yeah, that'd be a question for the town.
It's also, just to clarify, there's no right-of-way impacts proposed here.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
But it's
but yes,
right,
understood.
There's my landscaping, there's my parking lot, there's the end of all of that multi-use.
I don't know the answer but right now, is your back of sidewalk away from your existing hedges?
It's in front of, so literally where that,
Right.
there, that's where the sidewalk
Does
is.
the back of that sidewalk touch those hedges now? It's some distance away
Yeah,
from it?
I have probably 8 feet.
Okay.
So I kind of want to maybe add something to this. So in this particular section, what we're envisioning as the trail is what you have further to the south and west,
So more of the decorative
pushed forward. So I don't know who maintains that today, or if you call that a trail or a sidewalk.
Okay.
But we can certainly work that out with the town as to what that agreement looks like. That's an interesting question. I haven't thought of the answers for that.
And I know that that's my property there, but I know that West Main Pizza is over down a little bit more. And I know that that looks like you're literally going to be touching the building.
Right, the right
like that's where their ramp for their entry, for their actual building is right there, their ramp to get into the physical building, so, I mean, I know, I'm not their owner of their building.
Right, no. Understood.
Yeah. Take that window right there.
Do you maintain that sidewalk that's there now, or you don't have the answer? I was just curious.
I think my landscaping people probably do.
Okay.
And we've only been in that location for one winter so far. I mean, we just
Okay.
moved in January.
Okay. Yes.
In the beginning of this presentation, you talked about that this is being funded via federal funds and state funds. Is this going to be the same situation that you're doing with the Farmington Canal Trail, in which once it is completed, it then becomes the responsibility of the town of Plainville and the Plainville taxpayers to maintain it for any type of repairs? Will this hold the same thing as true?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, in all clarity, I'm from Krog, so I'm going to throw him a softball. But it's easy for these things to rack up as it's going to cost me a lot of things. So my question for you is, what are the benefits for people who live here? Why do you want to come in here and do this? You talk about your kids a lot. What would be, if you lived here, the benefits for you and your kids if you were to live here? Why are you so ready to come in here and ask these folks to take on maybe a little bit more responsibility with the sidewalk and use a little bit more salt from their buckets? What is the purpose for this? What are the benefits?
All of your life.
There you go.
Yeah. That's a first.
Same place to walk.
Yeah, it goes back to the purpose and needs. Those quality of life is a safe place to walk. I mean, it's everybody can go outside and enjoy it. Like as you alluded to, you know, my kids, you know, we have screen time limits, so it's nice to get them out on the trails. I do get them out on the trails. They actually enjoy doing that. To give them a safe place to go is fun. They can explore different areas otherwise that they wouldn't be able to. I mean, right now, I don't know if I would ever put my kids going down Woodford. It's very busy. It's a long, straight path. It's very wide. Cars go very fast. Not that it's not cool to explore, but you put a multi-use trail there, that would be a lot of fun. So that we can go look at different areas and we can connect to different places. So yeah, certainly a quality of life aspect. So, I mean, benefit, that's in the eye of the beholder. If you enjoy those types of things and getting it outside, then yes, it'd be pretty exciting.
You know, the thing is that if you talk about the Farmington Trail, okay, it's in a remote area, where there's no streets, where there are no hazards, there's really no houses. But this is, the thing is, these concerns that people are asking, this is more than just a regular trail. This is going through a major part of a city where there are people living in it. So it's more than just a trail. You can't just say it's a trail. I mean, I think it's a good idea, but there's a lot of aspects of it that makes it more of part of the city infrastructure. So you can't just define it as a trail in itself.
So have you been to New Britain in the last year or two?
No, they're building it through New Britain, and they're doing it
I'm
right next
just
to.
asking if you've seen the improvements in the safety and quality of life for residents of New Britain because of what they've done there. And why wouldn't the people in Plainville and every other urban community want that?
No, I'm not saying anything negative.
Well, no, that's why I'm asking you.
The area that's going through New Britain is totally different than this. This is a much
It's an
more
extension
complicated.
of.
Yeah, but this area is much more complicated than what the trail that they've already built. It really doesn't really affect people like homeowners to the degree that it does here. This affects people more than it does in New Britain. Because I've already walked through the trail.
Have you been through the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail through Southington?
It's really the center of town.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, it abuts a lot of residential
It helps
homes.
property value too.
It certainly does.
Economic.
Yeah.
And the center of town is always busy.
Or this is property values.
Yes.
Are you guys planning on doing any speed bumps to prevent e-bike speeding?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
When you're shortening the the roadway for Woodford, how are you planning on making it smaller under the underpass area? Because you're not really touching that area.
Right, so under the underpass, there's no
Can you
diet.
repeat the question?
So the 84 underpass that's like next to me, I'm just curious because that kind of comes into the line of sight issue. How are you guys shortening the roadway there as well, making it the 12 feet?
No, we don't have any, in this iteration here, we're not touching the roadway width now.
How are they making it safer for?
Yeah, how are they making it
So-
like safer?
Go ahead.
So the piers that hold up the bridge, right? So you have your roadway, you have your curb, and then there's a little space, and then there's the piers that hold up the bridge. It's gonna go on the other side of the piers.
So if you go to slide
So-
10, there's a
Taking a
picture. Ken, slide 10 has a picture.
Yeah, so this is good. So these squares right here, believe me, there's squares right here which show the existing piers of the bridge. And then we have a 10-foot trail behind it, and then a retaining wall that holds up, there's a slope leading from the bridge abutment down to meet the grade. Yeah, so it's gonna blow right through here. So you're not against the roadway, and we're not proposing any widening or
Yeah, that'll stay the same.
or narrowing of the roadway under the bridge.
It's a triangle, it's basically a triangle on the opposite side, right?
Basically, you're just gonna go like this, yep, and you chop it right down. And there's just gonna be a wall holding up, it's gonna be a wall next to a wall, essentially. Like this abutment is holding up the bridge, and then a couple feet off of it, there's gonna be a retaining wall. And taking out this material in here.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Right up front here?
Yeah, somebody brought up the mentioned speed bumps. And so I wanted to reflect back to where you have that exit ramp and the trail is crossing the exit ramp that comes down onto Woodford Avenue, right next to that bridge abutment. So, and I guess everybody agreed that the traffic turning right coming off that exit ramp, kind of, they don't see anything coming and they're cruising right through it. So, being familiar with a lot of the trail projects, that's always, these busy intersections and trail crossings are one of the lingering issues that follow the trail development. So now I imagine, you've probably done some traffic studies to see how much traffic's there. How does that compare to some other problematic intersections on trails that have already been built? Is there the possibility of calming traffic coming down to there? Because you're not going to put crossing lights there for the bike path.
Yes. Yeah, so this is a signalized intersection now. I mean, it's a little complicated. It has Maryline and the on-ramp and the off-ramp.
Yeah, right.
It's a little funky,
Right.
but there is a current signalized intersection here. So there will be a ped button with a pedestrian phase to get from this side to this side from this side.
Wow.
So, yeah, it'll be signalized.
That's fabulous, yeah.
Yeah. Because, if you come down and right turn on red or even just a slip, And if you can, I'm not sure if you can see from here, but this gray line here is the existing radius of that turn. It's kind of a straight shot, almost. This, we're actually narrowing the radius, so it's a little harder to make that fast slip.
Maybe add like a no turn on red thing.
It's already there.
Just to give another example, is the trail segment that's under construction in New Britain across Corbin Avenue. Again, Corbin Avenue is also a state road. It's also very wide. And people come flying up the off-ramp there to Corbin Avenue. And if it's green, they fly right around. And that project, because the crossing is right there, they're putting a no right on red there for the ramp traffic. But that's different. That's already here,
Yes, sir. Tying into an earlier question, you had talked about your property line and how you have the bushes there, and then basically your sidewalk will be turning into the trail. In obviously all different aspects, all different areas throughout this project, are there Will there be any sort of funding opportunities for the property owners to make any sort of enhancements like a wooden barrier, shrubs, anything that will divide or somewhat delineate the lines between the trail and the properties that the trail is right up against? Whether it be a small wall, bushes, anything like that. Will there be any sort of funding opportunities for any of the property owners to access?
So this might be more of a design question as far as incorporating that into the design, but there isn't any compensation for anything that's currently in the right-of-way. So that would have to be something that will be incorporated into the design. But if you have existing shrubs in the right-of-way, they're owned technically by the state, and so in that case, there wouldn't be any compensation offered. It's only property rights or impacts that extend into your parcel itself.
What's the plan for lighting? And it's kind of a two-part question, because in Tilcon, they probably gonna get pretty dark back there. So is there a plan for lamps along that path? And then conversely, in the more populated areas, are there plans to put more lighting there that could affect some of these homeowners?
So we're in discussion with Tilcon for different treatments that might exist along that retaining wall. Lighting has been brought up, but we haven't made any decisions or resolutions on what that's going to be just yet. But we're aware, similar to what someone was asked about dust, there's still some details to work out with the project. Along the remaining parts of the corridor, the existing Cobra headlights that are out on the streets now would remain to help light it, but we generally don't light trails. We use trails at night. We don't really want folks to use trails at night for safety. Yes, sir.
I just thought of another question.
Yes.
You know, when you're talking about the highway and where the person's going over the road, and I do a lot of bike riding in a lot of different areas. Are you going to put those like poles in front of there so you don't? Because there are people that just violate every principle of law out there. For example, even with electric bikes, there are some bikes, supposedly the state put a law for these ones that can go up to 30 miles and more. And also, I have seen, and I see it among younger people, who violate the law, and there'll be a sign there that says no motored or motorbikes and stuff like that. Where I have seen kids deliberately run right down the trail when it says no motorbike and they're doing a motorbike. And are you going to put like a barrier so that like a bike can only fit through it instead of like a three-wheeler or something like that?
Oh.
I mean, I've seen this at AW.
Bollards. Yeah. There's no plans for any bollards along the trail.
Well, I'm just throwing this issue out, and the speed bumps too. If you got some person that's just going excessive speed with some of the faster bikes, that could create a lot of problems. I'm just throwing these things for food for thought.
Some of them that you're bringing up would be enforcement issues, and that I would encourage you to speak with your law enforcement on that.
Okay. No, well, I'm just throwing the thing,
Yeah.
so you're kind of in your mind.
Yep. Yes.
You mentioned moving telephone poles.
Yep.
I'm just curious as to why it's okay to move them for this trail, but not the Heritage Trail.
Which location are you referring to?
When you, phase 3, one of your designs had to go on one side of the street because there were telephone poles on the other side.
We weigh that out, right? So we look at what the utility lines have, how many poles there are, what the feasibility of going on both sides of the road is. There's no flat rule that we can't move utility poles. The question is that the most prudent route for that to go on?
And or does it affect the least amount of people?
That would go under the prudency of the choice, yeah.
And then to add on this project, as Ken mentioned, we're not at the stage yet where we know what we have for utility impacts. We may get to a point where we're working with a utility company and it's just not cost effective for the public's use of dollars to move a specific utility pole. It's more cost effective to adjust the trail ever so slightly to kind of avoid that and leave it where it is. So, as for this particular project, we preliminarily maybe looked at, all right, how bad are we impacting utilities? We have a general idea. We're okay with that general idea so far. But once we get into the details of looking at the final design, working with those utility companies, we won't know, if we're set in stone or not on a specific utility.
Yes.
Have you got these pictures online where we can look at them?
Yeah, the whole presentation should be on your website.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe the presentation is on the town website, I think as of this afternoon. The video recording of tonight's meeting will also be posted on the town of Plainville's YouTube channel, as well as the DOT project website, and I believe the DOT YouTube channel.
All right.
I have just one last question. So at what point, obviously, we're talking a year out, 18 months out, there's going to be time, you guys are figuring out a lot of, all the intricacies. At what point are we individually going to be contacted? So like, for example, at our property, when do I get to find out to talk to someone about what that's going to look like specifically and how it impacts my property or any other's properties?
So the quick answer is if this project is not impacting your property or need any rights from your property, you wouldn't be contacted by the right-of-way division. If a property owner has questions, then Ken or I and our other DOT folks happy to come meet with you, talk about the design, show you what's happening, and listen. But a formal notification from the right-of-way division would only reach out to a property owner if they needed some form of rights from them.
So if I'm concerned about where the edge of the multi-use is and where my parking lot starts, I would need to contact you to like sit down and work that out.
Devin, who's standing up right here, he's the point of contact on the slide. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So you can email him.
You got my email too. So.
I did, yeah.
And,
you're my brother's name, I'll remember you. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
For her information, when design starts, what is the indication for her to reach out? Because that's most appropriate for timing for her to reach out, correct?
Right. The question is, what was the timing of reaching out? This is called 30% design level. The next submission will be what we call a 60% design level. And you just email Devin and we'll make sure we stay in touch throughout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other questions?
Any changes to this plan presented tonight, where can us as residents find that? Or is that just going to be posted to the website, or are we going to have another meeting like this to go over?
Be your website, right?
Yeah, it would be posted to the project webpage.
Okay.
On the DOT website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the project website listed on the slide. Ken, you want to flip back to that one just before we head out, just so everyone who didn't take a picture of it can if they want? And I also want to remind folks about the sign-in sheet if you want to sign in before you go. Any other questions? Any last words from DOT?
Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. I want to reiterate, especially with this slide that's up on the screen, your comments are extremely important. I don't think I can emphasize that enough. And please, use this opportunity to help us make a project that works well for the community. That's the goal. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming out and participating. Thank you.